Part 78. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 771. After a conversation, Su Yang and his party left the Su family manor. Now, there are only some servants of the Su family in the Su family manor, who are responsible for taking care of the manor, and their wages are still paid. However, Su Yang found some traces of young people's activities in the manor, such as potato chips and cola in the trash can in the living room, as well as some lanterns and leftover cakes. If nothing else, someone should be holding a birthday party in the manor. Su Yang didn't care and didn't rebuke the servants. They had served the Su family for so many years and worked hard without any merit, so they wouldn't get angry because of such a trivial matter. As long as they don't have sex in the manor and stage exciting battles, everything else is casual and they can just clean up afterward. After leaving the Su family manor, Su Yang drove a Porsche Cayenne speeding on the road. As night fell, around 8 o'clock in the evening, a group of people came outside the hot pot restaurant. Just when Su Yang, Li Feixuan, and Zhang Qingshui were about to enter, Zhang Magu said, "Young Master Su, you go to eat hot pot, I won't go." "What's wrong?" Su Yang asked. Zhang Magu scratched the back of his head and said slightly embarrassed, "I made an appointment with someone to dine at a high-end place." "Oh?" Su Yang asked curiously, "Do I know who I'm dating? Do you have any acquaintances in Jiangbei?" "Zhang Magu, you're not going to find your female shrimp, are you?" Zhang Qingshui saw through it at a glance. "Well, I won't talk to you anymore. I'm in a hurry, so I'll leave first." Zhang Magu left a word, turned around and ran away. "You brat, don't forget to tidy yourself up, change into clean clothes, get a haircut, and shave," Zhang Qingshui reminded hurriedly. "No." Zhang Magu responded casually and quickly disappeared into the night with extremely fast movements. "Female shrimp?" Su Yang asked with confusion on his face. "What kind of female shrimp?" "Brother Mugu wants to eat shrimp." "Su Yang, you don't even know this, it's too low, the female shrimp is the female user of pipi shrimp." Before Zhang Qingshui could answer, Li Feixuan explained next to her. "I see." Su Yang nodded as if he understood, and then said with a wry smile, "Nowadays, young people are really good at calling each other back to the female shrimp. I thought Brother Magu was in love with a shrimp." "Haha, Su Yang, don't you know? In fact, I am also a female shrimp, and so is Kikai." Li Feixuan smiled softly and then said, "By the way, speaking of Kikai, Su Yang, why don't I call Kikai over? She has been thinking about hot pot 2 days ago." "Okay." Su Yang nodded gently. After getting Su Yang's consent, Li Feixuan dialed Li Kikai's phone number. "Kikai, are you coming to eat hot pot at our old place?" concubine Li said with a smile. "Hot pot, okay, wait, no, sister, why didn't you treat me to hot pot yesterday? I don't have time today." On the phone, Li Kikai said depressedly, "I'm with Tong Tong at the moment. She made an appointment with an online date. They said they would take her to the most luxurious meal, so I'll join them. I didn't say it, but I was told to eat the most expensive and delicious food in Jiangbei. If the little fairy from Jiangbei wasn't so powerful in martial arts and so cool, I would have thought you were her." Li Kikai's eyes lit up instantly, and then she said, "I will come over to find you after I finish the meal." Su Yang was too lazy to use his identity as young Master Su, so the three of them sat down in the hall and ordered the Mandarin duck pot base and some dishes. Next. "Kikai, can't you be gentle? Look at how fierce you are. No wonder Tong Tong had a boyfriend before you. If I were a man, I wouldn't like you either. Sister, why don't you stop eating hot pot? What's so delicious about hot pot? Come over and have a feast with me. Being with you makes me feel safe. By the way, why is the smelly octopus with you? Sister, you have to be careful." Li Kikai continued, These few times when I go out to play with you, I always encounter scum who don't open their eyes. Some of them I can't beat, but at critical moments, the fairy from Jiangbei will always appear to punish rape and eliminate evil. Qing Shui, okay, concubine Li agreed with a smile. Hey, I didn't expect Tong Tong to find a boyfriend before you. But, is online dating reliable? Li Feixuan asked worriedly. Li Feixuan didn't expect that her sister's unintentional words would reveal the truth. She was at a loss and said quickly, Su Yang is back and Gege is here too. We are at the door of the hot pot restaurant. I won't talk to you anymore. Li Kekai, what are you talking about? Go and eat your feast. Zhang Qingshui showed a smile and then said, Fei Xian, now that I have recovered my memory, I don't plan to use the name Zhang Yuj anymore. Don't call me Gage, just call me Qingshui. If that boy has bad intentions, I will kick him and break his family heirloom so that he will not be able to become a man, Li Kekai said fiercely. Be careful of the smelly octopus. Li Feixuan's relatives are here and they cannot eat spicy food, otherwise they would never ask for the Mandarin duck pot. I feel this is disrespectful to the hot pot. Li Feixuan reminded her, then asked curiously, did Tong Tong's online dating partner say that he wanted to treat you to something to eat? Well, then, you can play. If you encounter any trouble that cannot be solved, call me immediately. Li Kekai seriously reminded, although I don't deal with her, it is undeniable that the smelly octopus is quite beautiful. If you hook up with your brother-in-law, wouldn't you have an extra sister? Li Feixuan said angrily, why should I be careful? Have no idea. As for Su Yang, he sat aside and watched, unable to get in at all. Don't talk nonsense. Li Kekai, who was on the other side of the phone, said with a look of longing on her face, now that I have said it, I have to eat F-country steak, A-state lobster and deep-sea caviar no matter what, and then pair it with top-notch wine, ha ha ha, I feel happy just thinking about it. Li Feixuan's cell phone had the loudspeaker turned on, so she felt very embarrassed. She hung up the call in a hurry, and then said with a smile, Gege, Kekai is like this. She speaks indiscriminately. Don't worry about it. Just when Su Yang was bored, his eyes were suddenly attracted by the person who had just entered the door, and he immediately stood up. After sitting down, Li Feixuan started chatting with Zhang Qingshui. The two talked and laughed about many things. Li Kekai said, Tong Tong was worried that the other party was unreliable, so she took me with her. What, my brother-in-law is back. It's great. I haven't seen him for half a year and I miss him so much. Su Yang and his party walked into the hot pot restaurant. This hot pot restaurant was full and there were no private rooms. Li Feixuan said in a lecturing tone, girls should be gentle and don't be so violent all day long. If you act like this, no matter how good a man is, he will stay away from you. Sister, stop talking, I know. Li Kekai curled her lips and said on the phone. Won't. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 772. So strong. This man who walked in suddenly is so strong. This man was wearing a suit and leather shoes. He looked to be about 30 years old, with a short haircut and a neat suit. He has a tall build, the most prominent facial features are the nasolabial folds, a ferocious face, and murderous eyes. He is incompatible with the straight suit, giving people the feeling of a thug in a suit. Of course, these are minor. If they were just like this, they would not be enough to attract Su Yang's attention. Nowadays, Su Yang has already stepped into the realm of yuanying. With the combination of secret skills and treasures, he can be sure to kill at the peak of yuanying. But as soon as this man walked into the hot pot restaurant, Su Yang felt a strong sense of oppression. Reiki. Cultivator. Moreover, it is a transcendent existence, and its realm definitely surpasses that of nascent soul, perhaps becoming a god, or perhaps overcoming a tribulation. This person has the power to crush Su Yang, it is really unfathomable. Facing him, Su Yang couldn't resist at all, and it could be said that he had no power to fight back. According to the information I received, Emperor Yanlong came to Earth back then and took away the Earth's most powerful cultivators. From Quasi-Emperor to Foundation establishment and above, no one was spared. Su Yang secretly speculated, there are only a few Quasi-Emperors who used special methods to hide them. Although immortal Emperor Yanlong knew that there were still Quasi-Emperors on Earth, he kept searching, but found nothing. Then Su Mo stepped into the Quasi-Emperor realm and returned to Earth, threatening the Yanlong Immortal Emperor. The Yanlong Immortal Emperor had no choice but to leave the Earth. Su Yang then guessed, ever since the Yanlong Immortal Emperor held the gate of time and space and took away the powerful people on the Earth has become ominous. Cultivators in the Foundation building realm are not allowed to step into the pill formation, otherwise they will suffer consequences. Not ominously troubled. Therefore, there is a gap among the cultivators on the Earth. In the past 2000 years, there will no longer be cultivators who can form pills, yuanying, transform into gods, or transcend tribulation realms. Su Yang looked at the man in a suit and leather shoes intentionally or unintentionally, and said secretly, even if there is, it is because he is balanced by the Quasi-Emperor's treasure and can ignore the ominous situation. But if it is like Guoyi's Qing Fan, it can at most resist the ominous power of the nascent soul realm. In other words, Guoyi holding a pirated Qing Fan can only reach the peak of the nascent soul. If he forcibly breaks through to the soul transformation, he will inevitably suffering an ominous backlash. I feel so painful that I don't want to live. Su Yang continued to calculate, but this person's strength clearly surpasses nascent soul. I can't even see through it. He must have a real Quasi-Emperor treasure in his body. Coupled with this aura like the abyss and the terrifying pressure, could this person be the Quasi-Emperor? The recovery of spiritual energy is imminent. Finally, a Quasi-Emperor can't sit still and wants to take action. Thinking of this, the corners of Su Yang's mouth raised slightly, and he felt a lot more at ease. The Quasi-Emperor comes from the Earth and will definitely protect the Earth. If the Quasi-Emperor comes forward, the probability of successful spiritual energy recovery will increase a lot. Just when Su Yang was sizing up the man in the suit, the other person's eyes suddenly fell on Su Yang, and then his face changed drastically, and his eyes showed strong respect. But soon, this respect disappeared again, replaced by deep dissatisfaction and a slight frown. "Young man, who are you?" At this time, the voice of the man in a suit sounded in Su Yang's mind. Soul transmission. Su Yang came back to his senses, and with the same soul transmission, he said in a neither humble nor arrogant tone, "I'm Su Yang." Su Yang. The man in the suit then sent a message, "In the nascent soul realm, you are also called Su Yang. Could it be that you are the Su Yang who has caused a sensation in the world recently?" "Exactly." Su Yang said, "But what I have done is not enough to shock the world. Only the realm of my seniors can really shock the world." "Do you know my realm?" The man in the suit frowned slightly. Quasi-Emperor Su Yang expressed his judgment. "You know so much." The man in a suit said calmly, "Speaking of which, Su Yang, you really deserve a lot of credit." Su Mo. "What, you don't want to go out?" "The reason why I put on urban attire is to hide my identity. If you tell the truth and see through my realm, aren't you afraid that I will kill someone and silence you?" The man in a suit said coldly, "It's exactly what you said, I can't take action." Immortal Emperor Yanlong knew that there was a Quasi-Emperor on Earth, so he still sent 10 of his men to Earth. Naturally, he had other methods. It turned out to be that old guy, that's what he said. "How did you figure it out?" "With your current strength, I'm afraid it's not enough to do it." Su Yang shook his head and said, "Now the spiritual energy recovery is about to begin. I am the key figure. Only I can start the spiritual energy recovery. After the words fell, the man in the suit had murderous intent in his eyes, as if he would take action at the next moment. You will not. The man in the suit said coldly, the two girls next to you must be your women. The man in the suit narrowed his eyes slightly and said coldly, however, I said that you are smart, but I am not entirely right. The corner of Su Yang's mouth raised and he said, there is a fault among the cultivators on the earth. The only one who is far more powerful than you anything is the Quasi-Emperor. Stop pretending, you don't dare to kill, Su Yang said without fear. I originally planned to save you some face before calling you out. Since you don't do it, haha, then don't blame me. We can still solve it in this store. Su Yang said calmly, perhaps, we can call him Blood Demon. Su Yang smiled softly and said, according to what I know, those 10 people were tampered with by the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. If the Quasi-Emperor takes action, his whereabouts will be exposed. I'm telling you, I can destroy those 10 trash people who come to Earth with just a snap of my fingers. Senior, thank you very much. Hearing this, Su Yang frowned deeply and felt as if he was facing a powerful enemy. It seemed that this man in a suit was coming with bad intentions. Why don't I dare to kill? Su Yang smiled and said that although he would not deliberately please someone, he still had to show his courtesy. The man in a suit said coldly, who do you think you are? Do you really think that you have become an indispensable figure after you solved a few minions in Jufeng Mountain? Young man, you are very smart and know a lot. When the man in the suit heard Sumo's name, he immediately fell into deep thought, and then coldly sent a message, Su Yang, you, come out with me. I want to see what's different about you. You turned on your spiritual energy, the key to recovery. When the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor comes to Earth in person, the Quasi-Emperor who takes action will have nowhere to hide and will be killed by him. The man in a suit said coldly, recruit me truthfully. Who told you that you are the key to the recovery of spiritual energy? Guess. It's a pity. He didn't expect that you would set foot in Nascent Soul and have strong combat power. Coupled with the disharmony among his men, you got a big advantage. I believe you can see it too, that's why you let those 10 people run amok on Earth, Su Yang said with a smile. There is a fault among cultivators on Earth. According to the judgment of Immortal Emperor Yanlong, if the Quasi-Emperor does not come out, no one will be able to defeat his 10 men. Do you think I'm praising you? Haha, you don't deserve it. Joke. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 773. Senior, wait a minute. Su Yang showed a wry smile and had no choice but to compromise, just go out and don't disturb other people. I'll wait for you outside. After secretly transmitting the message, the man in the suit strode out of the hot pot restaurant. Watching the man in the suit walk away, Su Yang looked unhappy and was thinking about how to deal with it. This man in a suit admitted that he was a powerful Quasi-Emperor. Even if Su Yang uses all his methods, he will not be able to compete with him. He will lose miserably, or even be completely incomparable. He knows Su Mo and is the Quasi-Emperor of the Earth. He probably won't be too harsh on me. He probably just wants to test me. Forget it, the worst he can do is get beaten up by him. I still have a lot of medicinal materials here, so it's not a big deal if I get injured. After thinking about this, Su Yang felt a little more comfortable. Su Yang, what are you looking at? At this time, Li Feixuan noticed something strange about Su Yang. I didn't see anything, Su Yang said casually. Oh. Li Feixuan also glanced at the back of the man in the suit as he left, and said curiously, that man is so strange. He's already here, why did he leave without eating hot pot? Maybe it's because there are too many people. Su Yang smiled softly and then said, Fei Xian, I just saw an acquaintance. I'm going out. You guys eat first. What acquaintance? She must be a woman. Okay, Su Yang, do you want to date other women behind my back? Li Feichuan questioned. Dating. Sister, I'm going to be beaten, okay. Su Yang felt aggrieved in his heart, but on the surface he comforted him. Honey, you're overthinking. He's just an old classmate. I haven't seen him for a long time. That's it, then go ahead and come back quickly, concubine Li said with a smile. With his wife's permission, Su Yang nodded to Zhang Qingshui, then stood up and left the hot pot restaurant. At this moment, outside the hot pot restaurant, the streets were bustling with lights and entertainment. Come with me. The man in the suit was standing outside. After seeing Su Yang, he jumped up, with Su Yang following closely behind. Certainly. The man in the suit did not use all his strength, otherwise he could get rid of Su Yang in an instant. That's it, 2 minutes later. The man in the suit and Su Yang came to Loxia Mountain on the outskirts of Jiangbei one after another. This place is inaccessible, there are no people during the day, let alone at night. Su Yang. At this time, the man in the suit stopped, turned to look at Su Yang, and said, "The first time I saw you, I was really shocked. I thought you were my master, His Majesty's along. Your appearance is so similar, but your strength is completely different. You will definitely not be my master." The man in the suit continued, "I have been in the world for a while, and I have heard a little about what you did in Jufeng Mountain. You are very good, your blood is immortal, you know how to protect the earth, and you are an excellent young man. If hundreds of millions of young people on the earth are like you, how can outsiders dare to set foot on my earth?" The man in the suit slowed down his tone and said calmly, "So you don't have to worry. No matter what the reason is today, I will not kill you. It's just that if you can't satisfy me, you will inevitably suffer physical pain." The man in the suit smiled playfully, "I won't bully you, I will suppress the realm and fight you at the peak of Yuanying. I know that you are only in the early stage of Yuanying. This is not fair to you. If you have any objections, you can bring it up. I have an opinion." Hearing the words of the man in the suit, Su Yang confirmed his suspicion that this man was just testing and would not kill him, so he relaxed a lot and said, "Senior, I am only in the early stage of Yuanying. You can use the peak of Yuanying to fight. I have indeed bullied others, can you?" "Cannot." The man in the suit interrupted directly, "I'm just going to bully you tonight and use my peak strength to defeat you in the early stages." "Then why do you want me to give you advice?" Su Yang said angrily. "I asked you to bring it up, but I said I would agree." The man in the suit asked a question from the bottom of his soul. "What the hell? I was naive after all." Su Yang had a black line on his face and said instead, "Okay, senior, the peak is the peak. If you want to beat me, just say it. Why beat around the bush? Then I'll start." The man in the suit showed a playful smile, turned his hands to knead the secrets, and began to suppress his state. In an instant, the aura on his body burst out, only the peak state of nascent soul. Only. The man in the suit's peak nascent soul is more powerful than the early stage of divine transformation. After all, he is a quasi-emperor. If it were an ordinary peak nascent soul, Su Yang wouldn't care and could handle it easily. But facing the man in a suit, he did not dare to take it lightly, and said vigilantly, "Senior, let's have a duel to see if we can use the treasure." "Of course you can." The man in the suit said confidently, "You can use it as you like, but I won't use it, otherwise I will bully you too much. And if I use the quasi-emperor treasure, there will be no comparison with you. I can make you kneel down in an instant." "Okay, I'll use it, but you won't." "This is what you said, don't go back on it," Su Yang said. Of course, once a man says something, it's hard to follow him, the man in a suit said sternly. Haha, if that's the case, then we still have to fight. The corners of Su Yang's mouth rose, and then all his breath was exposed. In the early stage of nascent soul, spiritual energy swept through the whole place, and the aura was fully activated in an instant. Your hiding method is quite good. I just walked into the hot pot restaurant and I noticed it immediately and thought you were an ordinary person. The man in the suit smiled playfully and said, in the early stage of yuaning, you can have such a powerful spiritual energy, which is almost comparable to the peak of ordinary yuaning. I admit that you are a genius. Even if you were placed in Xianqin more than 2,000 years ago, there was still a genius on the list. If you have a place, maybe if you are in the same realm, I may not be your opponent. It's just that your opponent now is me, who has suppressed the realm and surpassed you by several small realms. After the words fell, the man in a suit stepped forward, his fists filled with spiritual energy, and faced Su Yang. Boom! The next moment, the two fists collided. A terrifying aftermath of the battle rippled around, causing the surrounding trees to snap instantly. At this moment, two figures came quickly and saw the scene from a distance. These two people are Guoyi and the head of the Nangong family, Nangong Yu. Before leaving Jufeng Mountain, they followed Su Yang's order and came to Jiangbei first. The two of them were practicing in Loxia Mountain just now. They felt powerful spiritual energy fluctuations and came out to take a look. What a strong aura, it's the master. Nangong Yu saw Su Yang and said immediately, the master is fighting with someone. Owner. Seeing this, Guoyi was about to use his fan to help, but suddenly he saw the man in a suit, and his face was full of surprise. By, Senior Brother Bai Chi. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 774. Bai Chi. Yes, this man in a suit who has suppressed his realm and is fighting Su Yang is the god of death Bai Chi. Bai Chi is a quasi-emperor. Based on his level, he can naturally determine that the location of the spiritual energy recovery is in Jiangbei. Then, after joining the WDO, Bai Chi came to Jiangbei. He usually stayed in Loxia Mountain, and occasionally went to the city to taste food and experience life, waiting for the recovery of spiritual energy to begin. When Guoyi and Nangong Yu came to Loxia Mountain before, Bai Chi noticed it, but he was not interested in Nangong Yu, but paid attention to Guoyi. Because Guoyi had the aura of his master Suanwei Gigutsi, Bai Chi secretly made an appointment with Guoyi. After Guoyi learned Bai Chi's identity, he took out a cooling fan to prove his identity, which gained Bai Chi's great favor and immediately gave Guoyi many old medicines and secret treasures. Bai Chi took great care of this new junior fellow apprentice and showed special love. You know, for those old medicines and secret treasures of his, not to mention other brothers and sisters, not even Master Suanwei can get them. Bai Chi put on a straight suit tonight and originally planned to take his junior brother to eat hot pot together. But Guoyi wanted to practice and improve his strength, so he refused, so Bai Chi had to go alone. At this moment, Guoyi suddenly felt relieved when he saw his senior brother Bai Chi fighting with his master. Senior brother suppressed the realm. He must have met the master by chance and was testing the master. Guoyi smiled softly and said to himself, keep watching, I'm really curious about how strong the master is and whether he can beat senior brother. Guoyi. Next to him, Nangong Yu didn't know Bai Chi. He said anxiously at this moment, that person should be stronger than the master. Let's take action together. If the master dies, we are bound by the soul contract and we will die too. Not in a hurry. Guoyi smiled and said, I know the man in the suit. He will not hurt the master. We can just watch here. That's it. When Nangong Yu heard this, he breathed a sigh of relief and was no longer nervous. At the same time, in the distance, Bai Chi, a man in a suit, punched Su Yang, and they were momentarily confused. Haha, senior, you have lived for endless years and have had more hardships than ordinary people. My boxing skills have some restraint on you. Seeing this, Su Yang took advantage of the victory and pursued it, the 100-life reincarnation fist. While speaking, Su Yang punched again, hitting Bai Chi's chest directly. Boom! Along with a muffled sound, Bai Chi, who was in a confused state, was inadvertently punched away by Su Yang. However, at the critical moment, Bai Chi had already reacted and gathered his spiritual energy to bear it without being injured. Reincarnation. After stabilizing his body, Bai Chi stared at Su Yang, slightly surprised. I didn't expect your boxing technique to have the artistic conception of reincarnation, but I underestimated you. Come again. After the words fell, Bai Chi stepped forward, his whole body filled with murderous intent, and sneered, the artistic conception of reincarnation is good, but the most important thing in battle is the murderous intent. No artistic conception can compare with the killing intent. I am the god of killing, and I can kill hundreds of millions of creatures. The murderous intention you develop can defeat all methods. God of death. Bai Chi. Su Yang had already noticed Guo Yi's presence, and naturally heard the conversation between Guo Yi and Nangongyu in the distance, and knew the identity of the man in the suit. He is the #1 killing god in Xianqin, Lord Wuan, Bai Chi. Master, there is no need to panic. He is Bai Chi. He came from the same school as my master and he is very kind to me. Boom. Although you lost, you gained my recognition. Even though you lost, it's an honor. Bai Chi was already on guard. The moment he came into contact with Su Yang's fist, he stuck to his heart and was no longer affected by the artistic conception of reincarnation. Boom. Buzz. Senior Bai Chi, is it too early to tell whether we will win or lose now? The surrounding trees were destroyed, and there were countless deep pits made by fists on the ground, which proved how intense the fighting was. Bai Chi smiled softly and said nonchalantly, with your level, you can have any powerful weapons. Even if you use them, they can't do anything to me. Su Yang nodded, and then used the Beishi Samsara fist again to fight with Bai Chi. The corner of Su Yang's mouth raised, and with a thought, he sacrificed the Void Tower. Bai Chi looked at Su Yang, with a hint of appreciation in his eyes, and then said with a smile, however, after all, your spiritual energy storage is not as good as mine. If you keep fighting, you will definitely lose in another 300 rounds. But Su Yang possesses the soul of the immortal emperor, so Bai Chi's murderous intention is in vain. Look at my most precious treasure, the Void Tower. Haha, Senior Bai Chi, it seems that you have heard too little about me, otherwise you would definitely know that my trump card is the Void Tower. Su Yang raised a playful smile on his lips, and then said, don't forget, I can use the treasure, but you can't. Boom. After the words fell, Su Yang thought in his mind and said, the key to the East Mansion, come out. Su Yang, you are very strong, beyond my expectation. I thought I could easily suppress you with my peak nascent soul power, but I didn't expect that you actually ended up with me in a tie. Senior Bai Chi, you are blessed. I will sacrifice it today so that you can experience it. Before that, he mobilized all his strength and punched. The next moment, the two fists collided. There was no fancy action, and the movement was extremely loud. On the other hand, Su Yang, although Bai Chi's murderous intention is very terrifying, it can also affect the soul, making the opponent fearful and unwilling to fight, so he will naturally be at a disadvantage. That's different. Immediately afterwards, Su Yang and Bai Chi flew out one after another. After stabilizing their bodies, they were about 10 meters apart and looked at each other. As soon as the Void Tower came out, in an instant, thousands of rays of light fell down, wrapping Su Yang. This ray of light is the mother energy of all things, invulnerable to all means, and exudes terrifying power. Why don't you just surrender and let me beat you up? Maybe I'll be gentler considering that you're more proactive, Bai Chi said with a playful smile, making it clear that he was going to beat Su Yang today. So what? What? After seeing the Void Tower, Bai Chi's expression suddenly changed, and he said in shock, the imperial weapon of that powerful man is actually in your hands. In this way, Su Yang and Bai Chi fought so hard that they were evenly matched. At this time, Guo Yi's soul sent a message, he will definitely not hurt you, just use your full strength. After about 10 minutes, Su Yang's energy was consumed a little too much and he felt that he could no longer consume it, so he came up with the idea of sacrificing the treasure. Su Yang smiled, then continued, but, I still have a treasure, which I obtained accidentally before. Because I didn't understand its origin, I haven't used it for a long time. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 775. Buzz. Suddenly, a treasure that resembled an enlarged key sprang out of Su Yang's body and floated in mid-air, exuding a terrifying pressure that made people palpitate. What, you have more than one such powerful treasure. Bai Chi's eyes were instantly attracted by the key of Dongfu suspended in mid-air. The surprise in his eyes gradually evolved into strong shock. He murmured to himself, the key of Dongfu is actually the key of Dongfu, how can you be the key to the East Mansion? Su Yang frowned slightly, looking at Bai Chi's expression, could it be that he knew the key to the East Mansion? This treasure was obtained by Su Yang in a cave deep in Dongshan Mountain. It is very strange and powerful. Even if Su Yang possesses the soul of the immortal emperor, he has not understood the origin of this treasure, and can only reluctantly activate it once or twice to exert the power of the treasure. Someone came to seek revenge in the Su family manor. Su Yang had not obtained the Void Tower at that time, so he forcibly activated the key to the East Mansion. Although he killed the opponent, he himself also suffered a backlash. If Hua Shimiao didn't have a powerful ancient elixir, Su Yang would be in danger. From then on, Su Yang almost never used the key to the East Mansion. This thing was elusive and he didn't want to take risks. During his previous retreat in Kunlun Mountain, Su Yang stepped into the nascent soul realm and took out the key to the East Mansion to study. But even if Su Yang advanced to nascent soul, he still couldn't see through the key to the East Mansion. He only knew that this treasure was extremely powerful, not even inferior to the Void Tower. But fortunately, the key to the East Palace has recognized Su Yang as its master, and Su Yang is the real owner of the key to the East Palace. If Su Yang didn't forcefully activate it, this treasure would definitely not kill its owner. A truly powerful treasure has a weapon spirit inside it. There was a weapon spirit in the Void Tower, but when it was split, the weapon spirit was no longer there, and I don't know where it went. Su Yang concluded that there must be a weapon spirit inside the key to the East Mansion. Now the key of Dongfu is complete, which means that if nothing unexpected happens, the weapon spirit is still in the key of Dongfu. But for some reason, Su Yang was sleeping, so he couldn't feel the presence of the weapon spirit, and couldn't communicate with the weapon spirit. If Su Yang reaches a higher level or the time is right, there will be no chance of communicating with the weapon spirit. At this time, Su Yang offered the key to the East Mansion just to scare Bai Chi. Also, with Su Yang's current strength, he can activate the key to the East Mansion slightly without suffering any backlash, just like using the Void Tower. Didn't Bai Chi want to teach himself a lesson? How could Su Yang hold back? He planned to sacrifice 2 treasures tonight to fight back. But Su Yang never expected that Bai Chi would actually know the key to the East Mansion, which surprised him. Su Yang. Bai Chi was extremely excited and said with a trembling voice, "Why is the key to the East Palace in your hand?" "I got it by accident." Su Yang met Bai Chi's gaze and inquired, "Senior Bai Chi, do you know the key to the East Palace?" "Of course I know, this is the imperial weapon of my master, His Majesty Zilong," Bai Chi said. "A big news. Zilong's imperial weapon?" Su Yang was really shocked. The ancestral dragon you are talking about is the first emperor. Besides him, who else dares to call himself Zilong? Besides him, who else is worthy of being my master? Bai Qi hurriedly asked, Su Yang, tell me quickly, how did you get the key to the East Palace? There is a cave in Dongshan, Jiangbei. I accidentally got the key to the Dongfu half a year ago. Su Yang told the truth. Jiangbei Dongshan. Why is the key to the East Mansion in Jiangbei? It shouldn't be, this shouldn't be. Bai Qi murmured to himself, back then, the master sensed the crisis of the earth and shattered the void left the earth to look for great opportunities outside the territory. There are so many dangers outside the territory. Why would the master leave his most important imperial weapon on the earth? Bai Qi continued, no, without the imperial weapon, the master's strength will inevitably be reduced by half. He is always careful in doing things, and he is well aware of the dangers outside the territory, so he will never leave the imperial weapon behind. Could it be that the master encountered danger and the imperial artifact key to the East Mansion returned to Earth on its own and landed in Jiangbei? Thinking of this, Bai Qi's face became particularly complicated, and his eyes were full of worry. Senior Bai Qi, are you worrying too much? Seeing this, Su Yang comforted him and said, I heard that Zilong is already at the peak of the immortal emperor and has very few opponents. With his strength, even outside the territory, he belongs to the overlord of one party. Who can kill him? Su Yang then reassured, even if someone can do it, how could he let go of the key to the East Mansion? Without an owner, the imperial weapon is like a lamb to be slaughtered in front of the true immortal emperor. Su Yang continued, if Zilong really encounters a powerful opponent and is wiped out by the opponent, they will definitely control the key to the East Palace and take it as their own. After all, an imperial weapon is of great significance. After clearing the traces, you can reward it to the juniors, or you can keep it for yourself. If you throw the imperial weapon and explode at the critical moment, the crisis will be very shocking. You can save your life and hurt the enemy. Who will watch? The imperial weapon slipped away from under your nose. Su Yang smiled softly and said, so, just because the key to the East Mansion is on Earth, it cannot be concluded that Zilong is in danger. You have a point. After hearing Su Yang's words, Bai Dian nodded, and then said worriedly, more than 2,000 years have passed, and the ancestral dragon has not returned yet, and I don't know what happened to him outside the territory. It's only 2,000 years. For a cultivator, it's just a blink of an eye. Su Yang smiled. Indeed, after the ancestor dragon left, I sealed it with myself, and 2,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. The vicissitudes of the sea are just a matter of seconds for a cultivator. Bai Qi looked at Su Yang, and then asked doubtfully, Su Yang, you seem to know more about things at the immortal emperor level than I do. You are only at the nascent soul realm, how can you know so much? Ha ha. Su Yang said casually, I like reading books. I have read a lot of ancient books and gained some insights. That's it? Bai Qi showed a smile, obviously not believing this statement, then he looked at the key of the East Palace again, and then asked, can you control the key of the East Palace? Well, as you can see, I am already the master of the key to the East Palace, so I can naturally control it as I wish. Su Yang continued, it's just that my realm is relatively low and I can't mobilize all the power of the key to the East Mansion. But if I use the key to the East Palace, within the same realm, no matter how amazing and talented the opponent is, they will definitely not be my opponent. Even if I face the state of becoming a god, if I forcefully activate the Void Tower and the key to the East Mansion, I will suffer backlash, but I will still be able to fight. Su Yang met Bai Qi's gaze and said with a playful smile, so, Senior Bai Qi, I'm afraid you will be dealt with by me tonight. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 776. That's not necessarily true. I also have an imperial weapon, and it's my own imperial weapon. Even though it's a quasi-imperial weapon, I can still compete with you, Bai Chi said stubbornly. Senior Bai Chi, you are so noble and forgetful. Have you forgotten that in our battle, only I can use the treasure, Su Yang reminded. You. Bai Chi finally understood and said through gritted teeth, so your kid is waiting for me here. I didn't expect that you, a little nascent soul, would actually control two powerful treasures. I miscalculated. Although Bai Chi was reluctant, he still said, it seems that I am going to lose tonight, and there is no need to continue fighting. Yes. Su Yang said seriously, Senior Bai Chi, if you continue to fight, you will definitely be beaten by me. I'm not an ignorant person. If you think it would be embarrassing to be beaten by me, you can choose to admit defeat. You told me to admit defeat. I, the majestic god of war, Bai Chi, have killed hundreds of millions of creatures, looked down upon the world, and swept across the world. You want me to admit defeat? Bai Chi glared at Su Yang and said coldly, boy, do you think it's possible? If you don't admit defeat, you will be beaten, Su Yang said calmly. I gave you face, didn't I? Bai Kadong said angrily, saying that he was about to lift his seal. A word once spoken is hard to follow. Senior Bai Chi must not lose his integrity, Su Yang reminded him calmly. Bai Chi glanced at Su Yang fiercely, and finally said through gritted teeth, okay, boy, I admit defeat tonight, I lose, so that's all right. You give up. Su Yang showed a playful smile and said, sorry, I don't accept it. After the words fell, Su Yang didn't hesitate at all. He immediately made a secret with both hands and controlled the key of the East Palace to crush Bai Chi and leave. Bai Chi was stunned for a moment, and while resisting in anger, he couldn't help but curse, you kid, you don't follow the rules. Senior Bai Chi, have you forgotten again? This is what you just taught me. Su Yang smiled softly, then without any mercy, he used the key of Dongfu to completely crush Bai Chi. Not only that. Facing the key to the East Mansion, Bai Chi could only defend passively, so Su Yang no longer used the Void Tower to defend, and even sacrificed the Void Tower. At this moment, Bai Chi was alone, fighting against the two treasures of the Void Tower and the key of the East Mansion. He was almost pressed down and beaten, and if he was not careful, he would be hit. A few minutes later, Bai Chi was vomiting blood, his suit was in a mess, and he was no longer straight. Boom. 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 In the end, the Void Tower and the key to the East Mansion hit him one after another, causing him to retreat continuously. Although it was miserable, Bai Chi always maintained the seal, keeping himself at the peak of nascent soul, and did not use his imperial weapon, the sky-breaking halberd. Certainly. The reason why Bai Chi could endure it was not because of the so-called promise. All the bullshit was meant to fool people. He was able to hold back and not take action entirely because the person who hit him was Su Yang. Now, Bai Chi had the slightest doubt about Su Yang's identity. Bai Chi was shocked when he saw Su Yang for the first time, because Su Yang looked exactly the same as his master, His Majesty Zilong, without any difference. Now, Su Yang offered the key to the East Mansion again. That is the imperial weapon of His Majesty Zilong. Even if Zilong is not around, the key of the East Mansion cannot casually recognize someone as its master. This has nothing to do with strength. Every imperial weapon contains the will of its owner. Under normal circumstances, unless the owner is willing, only if the strength is too strong, the will of the owner of the imperial weapon can be erased and the imperial weapon can be possessed. But Su Yang is obviously not a powerful person, so a problem arises. Why can Su Yang let the key of the East Mansion recognize its owner? Besides, Su Yang not only has the key to the East Mansion, but also the Void Tower. This small tower is not simple. More than 100 years ago, a great man came to the earth. Although Bai Chi sealed himself under the tomb, he still knew about it and even communicated with that powerful man. At that time, a big shot in the sky found Bai Chi's tomb where he was retreating. He was outside the tomb, and Bai Chi was under the tomb. They didn't meet each other, but they had a brief contact. Bai Chi knew that that person was far more powerful than himself, even comparable to the ancestral dragon. It was precisely because of that person's advice that Bai Chi chose to leave seclusion when his spiritual energy revived. Bai Chi knew very well that the great man at the immortal emperor level had arranged many things for the purpose of reviving spiritual energy and changing the cultivation state of the earth, thereby strengthening the earth. Now that Bai Chi saw that Su Yang actually possessed the most precious imperial weapon of that great man, he felt that Su Yang's origin was even more unfathomable. Whether it is the key to the East Mansion or the Void Tower, they are both first-class imperial weapons, and the owners of these two treasures are both powerful immortal emperors who care about the earth. Su Yang has controlled the imperial weapons of those two, and must have been blessed by countless lucks, so he can't afford to offend them. After thinking about all this, Bai Chi could not dare to be serious with Su Yang, so he could only be beaten in obscurity. Seeing this, Su Yang raised a smile on his lips. The reason why he is so unscrupulous is that he has seen through this and knows that Bai Chi will not really fall out. Let alone the Void Tower for now, the key to the East Mansion alone can intimidate Bai Chi. The owner of the key to the East Palace is the first Emperor Zilong, who is also the owner of Bai Chi. Now that he has become the master of the key to the East Mansion, and he is somewhat similar to Zilong, this alone can make Bai Chi doubtful and dare not touch him. Okay, everyone come back. About 10 minutes later, Su Yang saw that it was almost done, so he waved and took back the Void Tower and the key to the East Mansion. Hoo ho ho. At this time, Bai Chi collapsed on the ground, feeling relieved and breathing heavily. Su Yang, you are so cruel, I will remember you. Haha, Senior Bai Chi, it seems you are not convinced. Su Yang smiled playfully. How about we compete again? No, 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 I'm convinced. Bai Chi waved his hands hastily, obviously scared. Just be convinced. Su Yang smiled softly, and then took the Void Tower and the key to the East Mansion into his body. Seeing this, Bai Chi immediately released his self-seal, the Quasi-Emperor's cultivation level reappeared, and his injuries recovered instantly. Senior Bai Chi, you can't settle accounts with the future. Su Yang was startled and said hurriedly. Don't worry, I keep my promises and can afford to lose. Don't mention what happened before. Bai Chi glanced at Su Yang, and then said, Su Yang, I want to know what's going on with the key to the East. Have you ever communicated with the weapon spirit of the key to the East? Su Yang shook his head and said, I haven't seen the weapon spirit. Ever since I got the key to the East Mansion, I have been studying it and found nothing. Well, did you get the key to the Dongfu in Dongshan? Bai Chi asked again. Yes, Su Yang did not deny it. Now I believe that you are the key person to start the recovery of spiritual energy. Bai Chi looked at Su Yang and continued, and, if I guess correctly, the place where spiritual energy is revived is in Dongshan, that cave. It's possible. Su Yang also agreed, and then said, I wanted to explore that cave before, but I encountered a series of trivial matters and ignored it. Then what are you waiting for? Let's go and see it together. Bai Chi couldn't wait to send out the invitation. Not in a hurry. Su Yang smiled softly and said, it's useless to go now. The spiritual energy recovery should not be activated until tomorrow. My wife is still waiting for me to eat hot pot. Senior Bai Chi, if you are worried, go and find out on your own. I will wait for your news. How could Su Yang really miss hot pot when such a big thing was happening? But now Su Yang knows that the key to the East Palace is the imperial weapon of the ancestral dragon, So the Dongshan cave mansion without the imperial weapon will definitely not be simple, and may be dangerous. If Bai Qi didn't show up, Su Yang would bite the bullet and leave even if there was danger. But it's different now. With Bai Qi, the quasi-emperor, on the way, Su Yang naturally doesn't want to take the lead. After hearing Su Yang's suggestion, Bai Qi thought for a moment and finally nodded seriously. Su Yang, don't think that I don't know what you are planning. You just want me to go for you. You don't want to take risks. Bai Qi looked at Su Yang, and then said righteously, however, you are indeed special to the earth. You possess two secret treasures, the Void Tower and the key to the East Mansion. You really need to activate the spiritual energy recovery. As one of the surviving quasi-emperors on Earth, I still have this pattern, so I will naturally find out everything for you. Bai Qi continued, but, boy, don't think that you are instructing me. In the whole world, throughout the ages, I, Bai Qi, have only obeyed the orders of one person, and that is His Majesty's along. Bai Qi said sternly, besides that, I won't listen even to the orders of my master Gui Guzi. The reason why I help you is just because I don't want anything to go wrong in the recovery of spiritual energy. After all, this is related to whether the Earth's monks will be strong in the future and has a great relationship with my master's ambition, Bai Qi added. I understand, so please leave it to Senior Bai Qi. Su Yang smiled softly and asked curiously, Senior Bai Qi, you said that you are one of the surviving quasi-emperors of the Earth. Do you know the whereabouts of the other quasi-emperors of the Earth and whether they will participate in the spiritual energy recovery? Of course I know their whereabouts. There is a connection between us, but I can't tell you at the moment. Bai Qi answered truthfully, as for the recovery of spiritual energy, we can't bet all our money on this matter, otherwise if something goes wrong and the Earth's quasi-emperor is wiped out, then the Earth will have no future. But don't worry, in addition to me, I also have a senior brother who joined the world with me. He is currently in Jiangbei and will come forward when the spiritual energy is revived. Is your senior brother also a figure from the immortal Qin period? Su Yang asked. Bai Qi smiled and said, there's no need to trick me. My senior brother will show up anyway, and you will know who he is sooner or later. It doesn't hurt if I tell you. You must have heard of Shang Yang, right? When Bai Qi heard Guo Yi's address to Su Yang, he frowned and said, Junior brother, is Su Yang your master? Okay, Su Yang, how dare you resist me? Huh, I can't control that much today. If the spiritual energy is revived, you will die if you don't. Senior brother, no. Bai Qi nodded lightly, then looked in the direction of Guo Yi and Nangang Yu, and said, Junior brother, you too, come out. The first emperor could sweep across Liu He, and the Qin dynasty could dominate the world, which had a lot to do with him. Guo Yi first greeted Su Yang, then greeted Bai Qi, and then stood behind Su Yang. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be where I am now. Once I am the master, I will always be the master. Whoever I betray, I will not betray the master. Seeing this, Guo Yi hurriedly said, I accept Su Yang as my master of my own free will. Bai Qi was slightly angry and said in a deep voice, Su Yang, I want you to immediately terminate the soul contract with my junior brother. There is no discussion on this matter. If you don't do it, I will kill you. Bai Qi complained, if you listen to what he says, your life will be shortened by 10 years, no, 20 years. Owner. Ye Guo Yi admitted directly without any hesitation. Meet the master. Good. Su Yang smiled and said, haha, don't worry, I have a very strict mouth. I've met senior brother. But then, Bai Qi dispersed the spiritual energy in his palm, and showed an appreciative smile, he, good, you are worthy of being my junior brother. He knows how to repay kindness, and values love and righteousness. I will help you as if I don't have you as my junior brother. Are you sure? Bai Chi said coldly. As for Nangong Yu, he did not say hello to Bai Chi. He must be afraid of Bai Chi, but just stood respectfully next to Guo Yi. Su Yang heard this and said in a neither humble nor arrogant tone, "Now, I don't care about the soul contract anymore. It can be cancelled at any time. However, I will not accept threats from anyone, and you are no exception. You are my little junior brother and the darling of the disciples. How can he, Su Yang, be qualified to be your master? I have been on the battlefield and galloped all my life. I am not afraid of anything. I am afraid of senior brother Shang Yang's words. He is really good at nagging. He has to distinguish everything clearly and is very serious." Okay, Guo Yi's eyes were determined. When Bai Chi heard this, he was furious. He immediately raised his palms and a terrifying coercion swept over the entire place. Bai Chi said with deep taboo, "As soon as Shang Jun's book came out, even I got a headache. You must not tell him what I said to you, otherwise it will be much worse for me," Bai Chi added. Su Yang naturally knew that the characters in the textbooks had single-handedly strengthened the entire Qin dynasty. When Guo Yi and Nangong Yu heard this, they naturally did not dare to neglect and hurriedly walked out of the darkness. When Bai Chi heard what Su Yang said, he became furious and was about to take action immediately, and said, "Although you have a soul contract with my junior brother, with my quasi-emperor level, it is not difficult to strip it away by force. I will kill you right away. You pull out the soul contract, and my junior brother will be safe and sound." Shang Yang. Guo Yi blocked Su Yang and said solemnly, "If you insist on doing this, then kill me first. Guo Yi and I have known each other for many years. When we signed the soul contract, it was because it was full of uncertainties. Yes, my senior brother Shang Yang is in Jiangbei at this time. He is also a quasi-emperor. The Shang Junshu in his hand represents the laws of the world." Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 777. I heard the master mention the matter between you and Su Yang. He wanted to accept you as his disciple before, but you didn't agree. You said you wanted to ask for the master's permission. So far, you haven't really nodded, and you haven't given the master-disciple ceremony. Bai Chi continued, "After I heard about it, I admired you very much. That's why I was so kind to you when we met before. I gave you old medicines and secret treasures. It's not bad. I saw you right." Seeing this, Guo Yi breathed a sigh of relief. He really thought that senior brother Bai Chi would take action. But Su Yang was never worried. He had already guessed Bai Chi's intention and concluded that Bai Chi would not touch him. "It's great to have a master. I envy you. I have also fought for my master. Unfortunately, now I don't even know where the master is." Bai Chi seemed to remember the past and sighed deeply, then his eyes fell on Nangong Yu. With a wave of his hand, Nangong Yu fell into a coma. "It's best not to reveal the news of my entry into the WDO at the moment. It's better that one less person knows about it. Don't worry, I just erased part of his memory and he will be fine after a night's rest." Bai Chi looked at Su Yang and Guo Yi, and then reminded, "Remember, the content of tonight's conversation and my whereabouts must not be exposed. I will leave first and go to Dongshan to find out. If there is any news, I will find you." After leaving behind some words, Bai Chi's figure disappeared instantly, so fast that even Su Yang couldn't see clearly. "Master, senior brother should be doing this because he is worried about the news that he was beaten up by you. He is afraid of being embarrassed." Guo Yi laughed softly. "Haha, it's possible." Su Yang smiled, his eyes fell on Guo Yi, then with a thought, he condensed the soul contract, and said seriously, "Guo Yi, I said that before, not because Bai Chi was here, I meant it. It's up to you to decide whether to terminate the soul contract. I won't make the decision for you." Su Yang continued, Don't put too much psychological pressure on yourself. You are afraid that others will say you are ungrateful. I have not done anything for you. If you want to relieve it, just relieve it. Owner. Unexpectedly, Guoyi looked at Su Yang and said solemnly, what I said before was not a lie. I voluntarily serve you as my lord, and it is my honor to follow you. Guoyi said seriously, I believe this will be the most correct decision in my life. Good. Seeing this, Su Yang withdrew the soul contract, and then said, I won't draw a big picture for you and make too many unnecessary promises. Just look at it later. 9 heavens and 10 earths, 4 seas and 8 wastelands, and billions of miles of stars will eventually let us fly, Su Yang added with majestic momentum. Yes. Guoyi nodded excitedly and looked at Su Yang with eyes filled with awe. Well, you and Nangang Yu, stay here. I went to accompany concubine Qian. I haven't seen you for half a year. I ignored it. Before the spiritual energy recovers, it is really time to accompany you. Su Yang smiled, then his figure flickered and quickly disappeared on the spot. Congratulations, Master. Guoyi bent down and clasped his fists, and waited until Su Yang left completely before he stood up and took Nangang Yu away from the scene. Nima. I didn't expect that they would see it. I was beaten violently by Su Yang in front of my junior brother tonight. It's so embarrassing. After everyone left, Bai Qi, dressed in a suit, gradually emerged. At this time, Bai Qi changed into another suit, which was clean and straight. Apparently, there were several suits prepared in the storage ring. At this moment, Bai Qi's face didn't look good, he was particularly embarrassed. Recalling the scene of being ravaged by Su Yang, he felt a strong sense of humiliation in his heart. Shame. What a shame. Bai Qi gritted his teeth. After thinking for a moment, he suddenly thought of something, and a playful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Su Yang, you are so arrogant. I even gave up and you still grabbed me and beat me. If I don't show you some color tonight, you might not know how powerful I am. Bai Qi smiled and said, as far as I know, 3 little trash from outside the territory have appeared in Jiangbei. The 3 of them are all very powerful, especially one of them, a guy named Qinghai, who secretly hid his strength. After coming to Earth, he still retained the state of becoming a god. Bai Qi smiled playfully and said, Su Yang, you picked up a leak in Zhifeng Mountain and caused misfortune to Master Fengzi. If I reveal your location to him, Master Fengzi will definitely bring someone to find you to settle the score. You will suffer the consequences. With this thought in his mind, Bai Qi grinned, as if he had already thought of the scene of Su Yang being hung. Immediately afterwards, Bai Qi disappeared and went to find Mr. Fengzi and the other 3. As one of the quasi-emperors of the earth, Bai Qi has been in Jiangbei for several days. He naturally knows the whereabouts of the 3 young masters of Fengzi. It is not difficult to find them. In Bai Qi's view, the 3 young masters of Fengzi are not weak in strength, and it should be easy to deal with Su Yang. Although Su Yang has the Void Tower and the key to the East Mansion, his level is too low to unleash the true power of these 2 treasures, not even 1,000th of it. In other words, Su Yang will definitely lose miserably, and then he will be able to let out a bad breath. However, no matter what, Su Yang is the key to the recovery of spiritual energy, and he must not die. Bai Qi will naturally pay attention to this. He is measured and will observe the whole process secretly, and then take action to save Su Yang's life at the critical moment. At this moment, Jiangbei, a certain hotel. Mr. Fengzi, Mr. Su, and Mr. Qinghai changed into ordinary people's clothes and hid here. The human race on Earth are really smart. Although their cultivation system is very rubbish, the life of ordinary people is really too good and convenient. Wearing a white sportswear, Su Gong said while playing with his mobile phone, whatever you want to eat, you can sit at home and place an order, and it will be delivered to you in half an hour. If you want anything, you can buy it online and someone will deliver it to your door. There is no transportation when I go out. Once I place an order, a special car will come to pick me up. It is so convenient. I have fallen in love with the earth, Sugong said with a sincere smile. Yes. Qinghai was also deeply touched and praised, the wisdom of people on earth is no worse than that of people outside our region. They are good at thinking, which is really admirable. Especially the mobile phone. I would like to call it the greatest invention. Its functions far exceed those of our top-notch treasures outside our region. It is really magical. Qinghai said jokingly, if you take your mobile phone outside the territory, I am afraid that those powerful people at the level of quasi-emperors and immortal emperors will also rush to exchange for the treasures and old medicines. Why didn't I expect that? This is a big business opportunity. Sugong was excited and said excitedly, when I leave the earth this time, I will definitely buy a batch of mobile phones and sell them outside the territory. Heck, maybe I will get rich. Stop dreaming. Mr. Fengzi next to him came to the earth earlier and knew more than the two of them. He smiled softly and said, if a mobile phone is to be used normally, it needs electricity and a network. Electricity is okay. You can charge it with any lightning spell, but the network is not easy to use. Mr. Fengzi smiled and said, there are no wireless base stations, no mobile data, and no network cables outside the territory. Once outside the territory, the mobile phone is just a brick and is useless. Right. Sugong nodded in realization and continued to play with his mobile phone, not wanting to take his eyes off the screen. Sugong, what are you looking at, so fascinated? Master Fengzi asked casually. Follow Duyan. Sugong pinched his orchid fingers and acted pretentiously, with stars in his eyes, this app is really good. I just liked a few muscular men and it automatically pushed them to me. Even the muscular men looked so eye-catching and so comfortable. As he spoke, Sugong did not forget to touch the screen with his finger, like the Douyin blogger crazily, and said, I like the aerobics guy the most, he is still mature, but it is a pity that he is already married and has a wife, otherwise I really want to kidnap him and let him jump in front of me. Watch less of this kind of video, it won't do any good, be careful not to fall into it, Mr. Fengzi said with a smile. Oh, what's wrong? Mr. Shu's eyes fell on Mr. Fengzi, and he secretly said, Fengzi, are you jealous? Why should I be jealous? I'm just telling you that there are a lot of scammers here. Mr. Fengzi responded in a calm tone, and then said, okay, don't talk about this anymore, let's discuss how to deal with the resurgence of spiritual energy. Master Fengzi. Hearing this, Qinghai smiled softly and said, you are the strongest among the three of us. Just make the arrangements and we will listen to you. Yes, Fengzi, the master is not here, I only listen to your words, Mr. Shu said charmingly with a wink. In that case, I won't refuse. Mr. Fengzi nodded and said, I have only one request regarding the recovery of spiritual energy, and that is not to stop it yet. Perhaps you don't know that when the spiritual energy revives, the defense of the formation protecting the earth will weaken. At this time, it is the best time for the Master, the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor, to come to the earth. Mr. Fengzi continued, so I want to activate the spiritual energy recovery to provide convenience for Yanlong Immortal Emperor. Of course, we can't just watch the spiritual energy recovery succeed. We will stop it after Yanlong Immortal Emperor takes that step. Mr. Fengzi continued, when Emperor Yanlong truly sets foot on the earth, we will have successfully completed our mission, and Emperor Yanlong will reward us. Okay, everything is up to you. Qinghai was the first to stand up and agree, and Sugong next to him had no objections. But, seeing this, Mr. Fengzi changed his tone and said, before this, I hope you will help me kill someone. It must be Su Yang. Sugong smiled and said, Fengzi, don't worry. That kid is taking advantage of others' danger. There is nothing to be afraid of. If you encounter him, I will definitely skin him and cramp him, so that you can vent your anger. Okay, I'll leave it to you two. Mr. Fengzi said seriously, that kid is a bit weird. Let's take action together when the time comes. The revival of spiritual energy is only a matter of these 2 days. Su Yang must have arrived in Jiangbei. Let's go out for a walk and try to kill him before the spiritual energy recovers. Mr. Fengzi continued, I heard that Su Yang is the key to spiritual energy recovery. As long as we kill him, we can also reduce the probability of successful spiritual energy recovery. Good. Qinghai and Qigong agreed in unison. At this time, what happened? Bai Qi snorted coldly and interrupted, I really want to come when the spiritual energy is revived, but now I just cast a touch of soul power. Sugong and Qinghai, without any doubt, hurriedly knelt down on one knee and said respectfully, greetings to the master. Thinking of this, Bai Qi raised the corners of his mouth slightly, then turned his hands to squeeze the secrets, and the spiritual energy surged around his body. Bai Qi controlled the phantom in mid-air and said calmly, I have passed the location to your minds. You must kill it tonight. Bai Qi continued, the reason why this emperor invests the power of his soul is because he has a task to entrust to you. With his level, he could naturally play with the 3 young masters of Fengzi. Bai Qi could also hear the conversation between the 3 of them clearly. Master, it is the projection of the master. There is actually the face of the master in the dark clouds, and there is a terrifying coercion in it. It must be the master. This soul power only exists for a limited time, so we don't want to talk nonsense. Su Yang, you are so unpopular. Before I even instigated you, they were already planning on how to kill you. In the darkness, Bai Qi controlled the shadow in mid-air, nodded, and then sent a message, you guys, get up. One more thing, torture him severely before killing him. I want him to die in pain. Boom. Bai Qi thought for a moment, and then suddenly thought of a way. In the early years, I saw the appearance of the Yanlong Immortal Emperor. I can use my identity as the Yanlong Immortal Emperor to pretend to pass down a secret order and tell them Su Yang's location. They must kill Su Yang. Bai Qi, wearing a suit and ties, had already appeared outside the hotel, hiding his aura. However, how to notify them so that they won't suspect it is difficult. Thank you, Master Sugong and Qinghai stood up and stood by respectfully. The next moment, outside the hotel, the sky and the earth were changing. The sky was originally full of stars, but suddenly it was covered with dark clouds. With the strength of a few of them, it's impossible for them to see through my disguise, so they shouldn't be suspicious. After finishing speaking, Bai Qi thought, and the shadows in the sky dispersed. At the same time, the dark clouds dispersed, and the starry night sky appeared again. Damn it, my subordinate. I was just too excited and didn't react for a while. Master, didn't you say that when the spiritual energy revives, the Earth's protective formation will be weak, and you won't come to Earth until then? Why now? Mr. Fengzi was slightly confused. A large shadow loomed in the dark clouds. If you look carefully, there seems to be a face in the dark clouds. For ordinary people, this is just a sudden change, and it did not cause any sensation. The citizens of Jiangbei are still enjoying the barbecue night market comfortably. Bai Qi showed a playful smile and said to himself, now as long as I tell you Su Yang's whereabouts, I will just sit back and watch the show. Immediately afterwards. Why, I need to report to you when I do something. Su Yang, who has become famous recently, has arrived in Jiangbei. He must die, otherwise it will affect my plan. Snort. No, my subordinate is just. Young Master Fengzi hurriedly knelt down and said respectfully, my subordinate Fengzi, please pay homage to your master. Fengzi, won't you be polite when you see this emperor, Bai Qi said coldly. The three young masters from Fengzi were talking. When they noticed the movement outside, they immediately opened the window and looked outside. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 778. Ordinary people can't detect it, but some powerful cultivators can feel something strange. There's a strange phenomenon happening in the sky. Is the recovery of spiritual energy about to begin? What a powerful aura fluctuation. That kind of power must surpass anything. It shouldn't be at the level of a god. It's too small, the pattern is too small. If such an earth-shattering power is created by man, it's more than just a god. Hey, spiritual energy recovery is about to begin. The world is in chaos. I don't know if it will succeed. For a time, everyone speculated. And the instigator, Bai Qi, has already withdrawn his magical powers and is hiding in the dark, waiting to watch the show. Now, hotel room. Mr. Fengzi, Mr. Su, and Qinghai bent down and clasped their fists, respectfully seeing off the projection of the flame dragon immortal emperor as he left. Immediately afterwards, Qinghai was the first to speak. Master Fengzi, immortal emperor Yanlong has come at the right time. Let's go, let's kill Su Yang. Wait a moment. Mr. Fengzi was slightly confused, frowned, and said, I think this matter is a bit strange. It takes a lot of energy to cast a clone from a place hundreds of millions of miles away. Mr. Fengzi continued, Master can use the psychic stone to communicate with me and send me messages. Why do you choose to do this? Of course it's fast. Qinghai said, with the Master's strength, the power of the soul can be lowered in an instant, but if you use the psychic stone, it will take some time to connect. This shows how eager the Master is to kill Su Yang, Mr. Fengzi. We can't waste any more time. What you said makes sense, but I still feel something is wrong. After thinking for a moment, Mr. Fengzi suggested, let's do this. You wait for me for 2 hours. I will use the psychic stone to contact immortal Emperor Yanlong and ask the matter clearly. Master Fengzi. Qinghai objected, absolutely not. The reason why the master consumes his mind is to save time, but in the end you have to waste this time. If you make the master unhappy, not only you, but also all of us will get nothing, Qinghai reminded. Good. Su Gong pinched the orchid finger and smiled softly, Fengzi, you want to kill Su Yang anyway, it's okay for us to go over and take a look, and we can't suffer any loss. In Jiangbei today, the three of us together can completely ignore anyone. Su Gong continued, if Su Yang is not in that hot pot restaurant, it doesn't matter. We can have a taste of the Earth's delicacies. I heard that people on Earth especially like to eat hot pot. It's spicy and fragrant. You can cook a lot of ingredients in it. You can cook it all in one pot. I really want to eat it. After hearing this, Mr. Fengzi thought deeply and finally nodded. Really? Immortal Emperor Yanlong had just given the order, and it was obviously unnecessary for him to inquire through the psychic stone. If the best opportunity to kill Su Yang is missed and Su Yang escapes, it will definitely anger the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. This is not a wise move. In addition, in his opinion, there are no masters on Earth. As long as the three of them do not fight among themselves, they can look down on all living beings on Earth. Well, what you said makes sense, let's go quickly. If Su Yang is really there, tonight is the day he dies. Master Fengzi made up his mind and immediately left the hotel with Shu Gong and Qinghai. At this moment, Hot Pot Restaurant. Su Yang had already returned to the Hot Pot Restaurant and was enjoying delicious food with concubine Li. The hot pot in this restaurant tastes really good. I feel like I won't be able to get enough of it in my lifetime. Concubine Li Xian cooked a piece of mutton and enjoyed it deliciously. Then she asked curiously, by the way, Su Yang, did you wash your hands when you came back from the toilet just now? Without. When Su Yang left with the man in suit Bai Chi, he used the excuse to go to the toilet, so Li Feixuan asked. Huh? Hearing Su Yang's answer, Li Feixuan withdrew and said with disdain, "You are so unhygienic. You have to wash your hands after going to the toilet. This is something that all children know. Go and wash your hands quickly." "So what?" Su Yang said stubbornly, "I didn't pee on my hands. It doesn't matter whether I wash them or not." "Then you have to wash it too." Concubine Li glanced at Su Yang, and then whispered, "Don't think I don't know, you boys have to use your hands to hold onto the toilet. That thing is so dirty. It's full of bacteria. If you hold it with your hands will definitely be unclean." Li Feixuan urged again, "Hurry up and wash up, otherwise I will be embarrassed to eat with you. I can't eat just thinking about it." Su Yang suddenly had a dark thought, "Who did you hear that boys need to be supported when going to the toilet? Honey, you couldn't have peeked at me, right?" "No." Li Feixuan hurriedly said, "I have never seen such a disgusting scene. I just saw it on Pippi Shrimp and saw it mentioned by others." "Oh, then you don't understand it comprehensively. Usually, people who use hands to hold their hands have some functional problems." Su Yang smiled and said, "Something like frequent urination, urgent need to urinate, and inability to urinate completely. The function is not good. I'm afraid it will get on my pants, so I can only help it. But I'm different. With my function, King Kong can't damage the kidneys. That won't happen. Don't worry." Su Yang put his hand under Li Feixuan's nose and said, "If you don't believe it, just smell it and see if it smells like it. Practice is the only criterion for verifying the truth." "Bah, get your smelly hands away, it's disgusting." Li Feixuan hurriedly pushed Su Yang's hand away, and then said, "Your hands don't smell, that's all." "Ha ha." Seeing this, Su Yang showed a playful smile. His wife's appearance was really a little cuter than before. Cough. At this moment, Zhang Qingshui felt a little embarrassed and couldn't help coughing. Have you forgotten my existence? You should also pay attention to the occasion when flirting. I am a single person. When I see you, I won't feel embarrassed." As soon as these words came out, Li Feixuan turned red and realized that something was wrong. It was indeed very awkward for the three of them to eat hot pot together. There was something wrong with the atmosphere, and no one spoke. With Zhang Qingshui beside him, Su Yang didn't want to say any more flirtatious words, but felt that he couldn't do it. There were suddenly dark clouds in the south just now. Why did I feel Bai Chi's breath in them? At this moment, Su Yang thought of business and began to secretly guess, is it possible that Bai Chi has entered the mysterious cave in Dongshan? No, Dongshan is not in that direction. So what exactly is Bai Chi doing? Why does he release such strong soul power? He is hidden in the air, and ordinary people cannot find him. What does he want? Suddenly, Su Yang seemed to have thought of something, and said secretly, is Bai Chi using this method to search for experts from outside the region who have come to Jiangbei? That must be the case. Bai Chi must be planning to deal with those people before his spiritual energy recovers. Su Yang couldn't help but said with admiration, this is the quasi-emperor of the earth. He has responsibilities, takes the world as his responsibility, and worries about the world's worries first. It is admirable. Su Yang felt that he had guessed correctly, and he praised Bai Chi so much that he felt special admiration in his heart. However, the next moment, Su Yang's expression changed, his brows furrowed slightly, his eyes fell on the entrance of the hot pot restaurant, and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. Somebody is coming. Three powerful men at the peak level of nascent soul. These three people are undoubtedly Mr. Fengzi, Mr. Su, and Qinghai. Su Yang was relatively familiar with Mr. Fengzi. He had met him in Jufeng Mountain before and had a fight with him. In the end, he blew up his treasure and escaped. As for Master Su, although Su Yang had never met him before, the peak nascent soul master who fought alongside Mr. Fengzi must also be a master from outside the region. The power of Master Su is slightly less powerful than Master Fengzi, but he is still considered a top powerhouse. And the Qinghai next to it, looks mediocre, with nothing outstanding about it. But this person made Su Yang a little uneasy and gave Su Yang a strong sense of crisis. He must be a terrifying existence. These three people appeared together, and Su Yang was immediately prepared, not daring to be careless. Su Yang, we meet again. At this moment, Mr. Fengzi led Su Gong and Qinghai and strode up to Su Yang. He narrowed his eyes and smiled and said, I missed you so much after we said goodbye last time. Fengzi. Su Yang stood up, met the other person's gaze, and smiled softly, you ran so fast last time, and you disappeared before I had time to say goodbye to you properly. Aren't you going to breathe the earth's air when you come here this time? He. Mr. Fengzi did not rush to take action, but said, the earth is rich in resources, and I haven't stayed enough. This time I am here to see you off. Su Yang, are these three your friends? Li Feixuan also stood up and asked with a smile. Su Yang shook his head and said instead, Feixian, it's none of your business. Just sit back and eat hot pot and leave it to me. Fengzi, your target is me, get out and don't hurt innocent people. Su Yang stared at Mr. Fengzi and said coldly, if you agree, maybe I will be merciful, otherwise, I will let you die without a complete body. Is it? Young Master Fengzi met Su Yang's gaze and said with a serious face, I'm afraid you don't have the strength yet. Last time in Jufeng Mountain, you were just lucky. Now I'm going all out, plus 2 companions, what are you going to do to hit me? Mr. Fengzi sneered, you actually dare to threaten me at this time, ha ha ha, what a big tone. What are you arrogant about? Su Yang hugged his arms and said confidently, you must have seen the dark clouds in the sky just now, right? With your level, you must be able to detect that there is a terrifying existence in the dark clouds. Su Yang didn't want to do anything in a crowded place to avoid hurting innocent people, so he moved out of Bai Qi and threatened, to tell you the truth, I know that terrifying statue. He is a super strong man, his realm is far above yours, and he has even surpassed several realms of yours. Su Yang continued, I am very familiar with him. He is in Jiangbei. He just released his spiritual consciousness just to find your foreign masters and to eradicate you. If I were you, I would definitely take people away, hide far away, and never set foot in Jiangbei again. Su Yang smiled softly and said, I believe that the Earth Master will be here soon. Mr. Fengzi, you still have time to escape. If he uses all his trump cards and has no worries, Su Yang is confident that he can kill Mr. Fengzi and that Mr. Shu at the cost of serious injuries. As for the other Qinghai, Su Yang felt a little guilty in his heart, not knowing the depth of the other party. But presumably, if he wanted to escape, the other party wouldn't be able to catch up. But the recovery of spiritual energy was about to begin, and Su Yang didn't want to be too embarrassed and affect important events. In addition, the Quasi-Emperor Bai Qi is also in Jiangbei, so he can take action and easily deal with the 3 young masters of Fengzi. Why should he risk serious injuries to do this? There is another point, which is also crucial, that is, Master Fengzi cannot die yet. According to what Scarlet Hongyu said, Master Fengzi is the key to Emperor Yanlong's visit to Earth. If Mr. Fengzi is dead now, how can Emperor Yanlong come to Earth? If immortal Emperor Yanlong doesn't come, Su Yang's layout in Jufeng Mountain will be in vain. Su Yang also hopes to use this opportunity to completely keep the Yanlong immortal emperor on the Earth. That's why Su Yang used the powerful aura in the air just now to intimidate Master Fengzi. Ha ha ha. But who would have thought that when Master Fengzi heard this, he looked up to the sky and laughed, then said coldly, Su Yang, you are really good at deceiving. Last time in Jufeng Mountain, you reaped the benefits, and I took them into your hands. This time, you want to scare me with the projection of Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. Very, very good. Young Master Fengzi was so angry that he laughed and said, do you think I'm a fool? The projection of the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. Su Yang frowned slightly and said, are you saying that the aura in the dark clouds came from the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor 9 days away? Good. Before Master Fengzi could answer, Qinghai next to him said, Su Yang, don't waste your time. Of course we noticed the aura in the dark clouds, and we even saw the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. Qinghai continued, he did not hesitate to expend energy this time and cast the power of his soul just to give us the will to kill you. What Qinghai said is good. Young Master Fengzi looked at Su Yang and said with a playful smile, Su Yang, I don't know how you offended Immortal Emperor Yanlong. He not only asked us to kill you, but also told us to torture you severely before killing you. Done, ha ha ha, just admit defeat. Mr. Fengzi had doubts about the projection before, but now that he saw Su Yang was really in the hot pot restaurant, he became convinced. The Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. No, that's obviously, fuck. Su Yang's face was full of doubts, but then he suddenly realized, his face darkened, and he couldn't help but spit out the fragrance. He was not stupid, so he naturally figured out what was going on. He had beaten Bai Qi violently before, and it must have been Bai Qi's fault. He deliberately lured the 3 young masters from Fengzi here to take revenge on him. Damn it! The majestic quasi-emperor of the earth, such a powerful being, has such a small belly, it is really abominable. Su Yang, calm down. At this time, Li Feixuan stepped forward to smooth things over and said, we all know each other. If you have anything to say, please talk to us. Don't argue or fight. Ha ha. Mr. Fengzi's eyes fell on Li Feixuan, he looked up and down, and then said with a playful smile, this little girl is not bad, she is so beautiful. Fengzi, brother, it's okay if I call you this. In fact, if you all have something to say, it's fine. Li Feixuan smiled and smoothed things over, although I don't know what happened between you, it must be Su Yang's fault. Don't be angry. Ha ha ha, Su Yang, you are a good woman. You have general knowledge and discernment. Boom. Young Master Fengzi was talking, but at this moment, the smile on Li Feixuan's face suddenly disappeared, and then she gathered all the energy in her body and suddenly slapped young Master Fengzi. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 779. Hot Pot Restaurant. Li Feixuan suddenly took action, no longer hiding her realm, bursting out with the peak strength of Wuzun, catching Mr. Fengzi by surprise. Boom. After Mr. Fengzi reacted, he had already flown 3 or 4 meters away. Only. The peak of Wuzun is only comparable to the peak of Danji. Li Feixuan's power cannot pose a threat to Master Fengzi at all. Young Master Fengzi landed firmly on the ground, the smile on his face gradually disappeared, and he stared at Li Feixuan fiercely. Su Yang next to him was stunned, blinking his eyes with astonishment on his face. Originally, he thought that Li Feixuan was really trying to smooth things over and resolve conflicts. But now Su Yang realized, damn, it turns out that his wife is a 6th child. First he pretended to show his goodwill with a smile, and then he used his backhand to kill with a decisive move, without any delay. It is no exaggeration to say that if Mr. Fengzi was only in the early stage of nascent soul and received such a slap suddenly, he would definitely be seriously injured. It's a pity that Master Fengzi is too strong, which cannot be compensated for by any conspiracy. Oops, miscalculation, this guy is too strong. When concubine Li saw that she had not hurt Mr. Fengzi with any of her moves, her little face suddenly became nervous. She quickly protected Su Yang and Zhang Qingshui behind her and urged, Su Yang, Ge, you go quickly, this person is very powerful. You will definitely not be able to defeat him, even I am far from his opponent. You guys run away, I'll hold him back, don't worry about me, everyone counts, Li Feixuan said seriously. Honey, you did a beautiful job just now. I never expected it. It really surprised me, Su Yang praised. That's natural. I've long seen that these guys are full of murderous intentions towards you, and they will definitely not be kind to you, so I plan to play tricks on them. Li Feixuan first showed a proud smile, then smiled bitterly and said, unfortunately, he is too strong, I can't beat him. Wife, you are also very strong. Su Yang pretended to be surprised and said, that palm you just struck was really scary. Could it be that you have reached the realm of martial master? Not just Wuzun. Li Feixuan said arrogantly, I am already at the peak of martial master, and I am only one step away from the realm of martial saint. Hey, I won't pretend now. I'm going to show my cards. I've done a lot of great things in Jiangbei in the past few months. Li Feixuan continued, I also got a name. Not only people in Jiangbei are famous, but I also have many fans in other provinces. I am completely popular. Really or not, what's your name? Su Yang asked with a smile. Little fairy from Jiangbei. Li Feixuan said proudly, you must have heard of it. It is no exaggeration to say that there are not many people who have never heard of my name. Su Yang, I am much more popular than you now. The little fairy from Jiangbei? Sorry, I really haven't heard of it. Su Yang touched the bridge of his nose and didn't know how to answer the question. What do you mean, Su Yang, with your expression like this, have you never heard of my name? Concubine Li Xian asked with a dark face. Ahem, wife, I just returned to Jiangbei and I don't know what's going on here, so. Su Yang Gang said hurriedly, but now I know that you are from Jiangbei, what are you? Su Yang wanted to tease his wife, so he pretended not to hear clearly, looked at Zhang Qingshui next to him, and asked doubtfully. Ah. Seeing this, concubine Li was about to explode with anger. She finally showed her cards and wanted to surprise everyone and use her name to suppress Su Yang. But as a result, Su Yang never heard of it? Uncomfortable. This is so uncomfortable. Haha, okay Mr. Su, stop teasing concubine Xian and think about how to deal with it. Zhang Qingshui smiled and turned to ask, these three people should all be experts from outside the region. Mr. Su, are you sure? Honey, don't worry, they are fine, they are safe now. Su Yang smiled softly. This made Li Feixuan very satisfied, but she then showed a wry smile. You can't do it, Su Yang. They are very powerful. With your strength, I'm sure. Li Feixuan said with worry on her face. The little fairy from Jiangbei is getting serious. Because the opponent this time is no ordinary person, and is even much stronger than himself. After seeing Li Feixuan's aura erupting, everyone reacted and took out their mobile phones to take videos, and some even planned to start a live broadcast. I was actually sitting in the same restaurant eating hot pot with the little fairy from Jiangbei. The next moment, a terrifying wave of energy surged out, killing ordinary citizens and going away very quickly. Li Feixuan released all her true energy, and in an instant, a terrifying aura swept across the entire place. Little Fairy Jiangbei, it turns out she is Little Fairy Jiangbei. She is so beautiful and deserves this name. Really? Su Yang did not hide anything, nodded and said, I have taken those people into the tower. You and Sister Qingshui can go into, and leave these three people to me. Ha ha ha, the headline on the front page tomorrow will definitely be the little fairy from Jiangbei. She came to my shop to eat hot pot and placed an advertisement for me. I'm going to get rich. Don't want. Li Feixuan looked up at the void tower suspended in mid-air and asked curiously, is this small tower your weapon? It's so strong. Noisy. From this we can see the national recognition of Jiangbei Little Fairy. But at this moment, Su Yang took a step forward, and with a thought, the void tower appeared and directly took in all the ordinary citizens at the scene. At this moment, what happened here has long attracted the attention of ordinary citizens in hot pot restaurants. Before Su Yang responded, Li Feixuan calmed down and said, Gag, don't embarrass Su Yang. He is just a small Tianzong. After Tianzong is Shenzong, after Shenzong is the land martial god, and after that is Wuzun. In other words, under the influence of the void tower, the hot pot restaurant has entered another dimension, and no one can pry into what is going on inside, unless they are too powerful. Even if I can't deal with someone, how will Su Yang deal with it? You'd better run away. From this moment on, the hot pot restaurant is equivalent to non-existence to the outside world. Dad, look, that sister's hair is flying, it's so powerful. Buzz. Li Feixuan noticed it, her heart tightened, and she wanted to stop it, but she couldn't react at all. Su Yang interrupted and said seriously, believe me, I never do anything I'm not sure about. I have a way to deal with them. At this time, Mr. Fengzi felt that these citizens were noisy, showed a dissatisfied expression, and suddenly raised his hand. And Li Feixuan burst out with a powerful aura, her 3,000 black silk stockings moved without wind, and her beautiful jade face was as cold as ice. Su Yang squeezed the formula quickly with his fingers, and the void tower enlarged, and thousands of rays of light enveloped the entire hot pot restaurant. Su Yang, what's going on? Where are the people in the hot pot restaurant? Li Feixuan asked anxiously. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 780. This. Li Feixuan hesitated for a few seconds, and finally nodded and said, okay, you must pay attention to safety. Although Li Feixuan didn't want to back down, Su Yang said so, and she didn't want to stay and become Su Yang's burden. Li Feixuan could feel that she, like ordinary citizens in the hot pot restaurant, had no power to fight back against those three people. Even violent sneak attacks can't hurt anyone, so why fight? Although Li Feixuan didn't know what method Su Yang was talking about, she chose to believe Su Yang unconditionally. Yeah, I'll be fine. Su Yang showed a confident smile, then with a thought, he took Li Feixuan into the void tower, and then his eyes fell on Zhang Qingshui. Master Su, I believe you, Zhang Qingshui said before Su Yang could speak. Su Yang nodded gently and took Zhang Qingshui into the void tower again. Now, Su Yang and Mr. Fengzi are the only three people left in the hot pot restaurant. He. Seeing this, Mr. Fengzi smiled playfully and said, Su Yang, the clearance is over, can we get down to business now? I have something to say, Mr. Fengzi, thank you for giving me this time and not stopping me from doing these things. Otherwise, there would be a lot of trouble. Su Yang smiled softly. No need to thank me, I have selfish motives too. Mr. Fengzi stared at Su Yang and sneered, for example, I think your wife is pretty good. I like her very much. And the woman next to her is very delicious. To be honest, I'm reluctant to kill her. Mr. Fengzi glanced at the void tower, and then said, you accept them into the void tower, which is exactly what I want. Soon the void tower and them will become mine, ha ha ha. Fengzi, I'm not happy if you say that. The man next to him seemed to be jealous, and said dissatisfiedly, you only met those two dead women once, and you fell in love with them? Then what do I mean to you? Have you forgotten the story that happened between us that night? When Master Fengzi heard this, he showed an embarrassed expression and did not respond. That night, I drank too much. Mr. Fengzi doesn't like men, so naturally he has no interest in things like Mr. Shu. But that time, it was true that he drank too much, and his body was successfully picked up by Su Gong. The next day Mr. Fengzi was very angry, but he couldn't get angry. After all, Mr. Shu was very powerful and a powerful helper. If you fall out, your life will not be easy, so Mr. Fengzi, endure it. And in order to maintain the relationship with Mr. Su, Mr. Fengzi still had to bite the bullet, and when he was sober. Gradually, Mr. Fengzi got used to it, it was the same anyway. A truly mature man doesn't care about this, as long as he can get help from Su Gong. However, this kind of thing is disgraceful after all, and it is too embarrassing for Mr. Su to always bring it up in public. Okay, Mr. Potato. Chiang Hai saw that Mr. Fengzi was in a difficult situation, so he changed the subject and said, "Stop talking about this, it is more important to complete the task assigned by the master, so hurry up and kill Su Yang." Good. Mr. Fengzi glanced at Chiang Hai gratefully, then comforted him, "Shu Gong, how could I forget you? Don't worry. That's pretty much it." Hearing this, Mr. Shu stopped pursuing the matter further. He. Everyone who tried to take advantage of my wife is dead. No one is an exception. Su Yang's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and he stared at Mr. Fengzi with a gloomy look, and sneered, "It's just that I never expected that, Mr. Fengzi, it turns out that you also like male sex." "Shut up. What do you know?" Mr. Fengzi was furious and said in a deep voice, "More friends, more paths. Multiple friends, multiple paths." When Su Yang heard this, he showed a playful smile and nodded in approval. "Well, there is indeed one more way, Mr. Fengzi, your words are really insightful. It's just, will this road be difficult to walk?" Su Yang joked, "I have to say that you have many paths, which is admirable. You are a real warrior." Puff. Si Gong and Qing Hai next to them couldn't help laughing after hearing Su Yang's words. Many friends, many paths, that's what it means. Su Yang, I didn't expect you to be quite interesting. Su Gong pinched the orchid finger and said charmingly, "Would you like to take this road of mine?" But Mr. Fengzi next to him was furious and sneered, "Su Yang, Immortal Emperor Yanlong has an order to torture you severely before killing you. Don't worry, you will be Mr. Shu's tonight." The three young masters of Fengzi happened to have the same idea. On this point, the four of them coincided with each other. Then, he raised his fist and took the initiative to fight. The Beishi Samsara fist was exquisite. Really? When Su Yang heard this, he felt a chill in his heart and almost vomited. Now that Su Yang was beaten and defeated, he wiped the blood stains from the corner of his mouth and said in a deep voice, "But the three masters of Fengzi are at a higher level than Su Yang, especially Qing Hai, who is the most hidden. Su Yang can't do this. Otherwise, the fight will be much easier. After all, they are blessed by the Void Tower." Boom. But this only serves a hiding function. If the wall of the hot pot restaurant is attacked, the hiding effect will naturally disappear. Boom. However, in this round of collision, none of the four Su Yangs were injured, they were just testing each other, and the battle continued. "Key to the East Mansion, come out." "That's not up to you." Sorry, I'm not interested." Su Yang refused directly. In an instant, the aura of the hot pot restaurant was raging, and the tables, chairs, and benches were torn apart. At this moment, Master Fengzi gave the order and immediately killed Su Yang. Su Yang, Mr. Fengzi, Mr. Su, and Qing Hai all had a tacit understanding and did not want to make too much noise, so no one broke the barrier. As for the Void Tower, Su Yang was unable to take the three young masters Fengzi inside. When Su Yang saw this, he squinted his eyes slightly, and there was a fierce look in his eyes. Mr. Shu was immediately elated and said happily, "Fengzi, you are so kind to me, giggle, it's just right. You go accompany those two women, and I'll play with Su Yang. Haha, do you really think I'm afraid of you? Chiang Hai hid his strength and only exposed the peak state of Yuanying, which seemed to be about the same strength as Su Gong. Fortunately, Su Yang also has a treasure besides the Void Tower. If it was an ordinary person, or if it was much weaker than Su Yang, he could naturally take it in by force. Although the hot pot restaurant was covered by thousands of rays of light from the Void Tower, it was considered to have entered the dimensional space. Su Gong and Chiang Hai also became serious and followed closely to kill Su Yang. For Su Yang, it is the best result to quietly deal with the three Fengzi masters and avoid alerting the enemy. By then, the battle at the hot pot restaurant will be noticed by all the strong men in Jiangbei. This kid is weird, don't be careless, let's go together and fight him quickly. Boom. Now Su Yang was fighting 1 against 4, which was quite difficult. After dozens of rounds, he was at a disadvantage. Do it. Only.